Michigan will win the game. Think about all the credit. They got for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to our live show, the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. It's after dark, and we're doing it Sunday thing now. You know, we're going live, and what a crazy week two this was. Some of these games we weren't expecting it to go down the way it did, but that's why I love college football. It's always so crazy. We're going to go ahead and just kind of talk a little bit about our picks that we did first and our gridlock picks, and then we'll talk more about the week. So thank you guys again for joining us. We've already got a couple people in here, so I reckon we can just roll on. What do you guys think, Trev? Blake?
Yeah, let's roll. Let's do it.
All right, and for our Spotify listeners and guys that aren't watching live, you listen later. We got the whole crew tonight, so we're ready to talk some football. First up, picks. Pretty solid week on pick 'em, I think, for Blake and I. Trev, he went.
I don't want to talk about it. Let's not talk about
it for the freaking upsets, man. And he was close. But final on the week.
Arkansas should have had it. They were just like, what the hell? What the hell was that all about?
Yeah, that was a choke job, man. And
that was a choke job, especially that last play call being a run play. It's like a sweep to the left. Like, what are you doing?
Saw a few of those this weekend, even on Friday night too.
Yeah.
I think it was the Duke game. You run outside and try to go to the sideline instead of running straight up point. 3rd and 1. But yeah, I finished 7-3 on the week. Trevor went 5-5. Blake went 7-3 total on the season. Currently, I'm at 14-10. Trevor's at 13-11, and Blake is at 14-10. So you can see
make up some ground this week.
Yeah, now you're the comeback kid from now on, bro.
It's that way.
I haven't said it yet. There it is, first time this season. But as you can see on the graphic, there's our picks. It'll be posted on the sites later as well. Gridlock was our next one, and I think we all hit it, right? Oh no, Trev was just off because Arkansas again choked it.
Yep.
Oh gosh. So the Gridlock again, if you're unfamiliar, is where we pick who we guarantee. Like, this is who we feel is our solid lock for the week. And it's in the parameters, tight, very close game. Or you can pick a big one. Like Trevor went with a bigger spread, and they almost had it. So he would have gotten more points, and it's cumulative at the end of the season. We will, determine the winner. So last year, I think Blake had it by a pretty good margin. This week, Blake and I are tied with 3 points. We're both 1-1. Trev is 0-2. Arkansas screwed him. He would have had a nice 5-pointer on that one. So, but that's our gridlocks. Next week we'll post that again. Throw us your lock of the week. It can be again in that 3-4 point range as a favorite or any underdog you think's got it. Shoot it our way. Jake's already throwing up the LOL. What's that referencing? Is it because Arkansas screwed it away? Probably.
He's just laughing that I'm losing.
I don't know. Jacob is not a fan of the Arkansas Razorbacks, and he's got the Aggies got to beat them later this year. But yeah, let's move on, guys, and we'll talk a little bit about what went down this week. And obviously, AP poll comes out on Sundays around noon. And we have our movers and losers segment that we always talk about. And this week on the movers list, Northern Illinois has jumped in to the top 25. We're going to talk about that game here shortly when we talk about the main stories of the weekend. But really awesome for them to get that win, jump in the top 25. Nebraska, solid move up. They're into the top 25 now. Boston College as well. Iowa State has climbed a little bit. They're in the top 21, or top 25, excuse me. And then Tennessee, the biggest move, 7 points, 7 spaces, up to 7th in the country. So that one, really an awesome game from them. And we're going to talk about that one here shortly as well. On the losers section, can't talk losers. Let's talk Michigan, Notre Dame this week. Michigan dropped 7 after a lackluster performance against Texas.
Rightfully so.
absolutely. And then Notre Dame, I think they should be out of the top 25, but they
that-
dropped 13 spots, and I don't know. I feel like Clemson had a bigger fall after losing to Georgia than Notre Dame did.
I mean, Michigan,
Yeah.
like I'm not trying to compare the two, but Michigan dropped 7 spots after losing to the number 4 team in the country.
yeah,
They only dropped 7 more spots than Michigan did for losing to an unranked team, and they were number 5 in the country. So I'm just saying, like, they should just be out until they earn it back in.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah, and look, I agree. And the other one that ended up getting dropped out was Kansas. Kansas, you had every opportunity this year with such a light schedule. And Trevor, I give props to Trevor because he called this shit back in the preseason. We were talking schedules and all this stuff. He mentioned, hey, that's a game that they could go in and lose. It's in Champaign. You can't take that lightly. And what happens? You go and lose it. And again, we'll talk more about these games as we move along. But just, brief, it's just crazy. You had such an opportunity to try and make a playoff this year. Still can, obviously, but that one hurts. So good on Illinois and old Brett Bielema. We call him Bert. But that's good win for Illinois. Gentlemen, anything before we move into talking about these top stories, this Notre Dame, Northern Illinois game before anything else? No,
I mean, my hat's off to Northern Illinois. That was amazing, and it made me so very happy.
Yeah.
Arkansas ripped my soul out. Arkansas may have ripped my soul out, but NIU made my heart happy.
That's what it's about, man. Rebounding.
That's right. Rebounds. There we
go. You know who ripped my heart out, and that was SMU on Friday night.
Oh my gosh.
that one was terrible.
That was rough.
Absolutely terrible.
SMU has had a very, very rough start to their season.
We believed in you.
Yeah, there was
all of us were
expectations
believers.
there.
All of us were believers.
I guess we don't know ball. But then we got other talking points where we do know it. Okay, so nobody's perfect. The Duke Northwestern game was actually fun. Before we get into it, really enjoyable game. But again, right at the end, it was like 3rd and 1, and then you run a sweep to the right with the quarterback. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and I'll turn that into talking about this Notre Dame game and the major stories of this weekend. Because really that's the biggest one. Northern Illinois gets their biggest program win. I think they were 0-14 prior to this in like top 10 games, and they go out and they beat Notre Dame. Last second field goal, and then Notre Dame missed a field goal at the very end to win it. But Antonio Brown for Northern Illinois absolutely eviscerated on the ground, in the air. Just incredible performance by him. What do you guys think of this game?
Yeah, he earned himself a spot on a big program next season.
Yeah.
If Northern Illinois don't cash out, I mean,
that's right.
Who knows?
That's
they
right.
may pay up. Yeah, I was impressed with it. I was more shocked at Notre Dame's inability to stop anything. Like it was at will for Northern Illinois. I mean, I was shocked. I didn't expect that.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I thought that I don't know. I feel like the story should be NIU's defense just really shut
down
everything that Notre Dame was trying to do down. But Brendan and I were mentioning it. It's just like, I think this is a coaching problem all across the board for Notre Dame. They are not utilizing the people that they have properly. There's no way that Riley Leonard has this big of a drop off from production that he did last season. It is either a scheme problem that he's not picking up on, or he's just not comfortable with the play calls that they're calling. I just feel like they're not doing enough rollouts and not enough of the things that he's used to doing to get him into a rhythm.
Yep.
Yeah, we felt that way about Hartman last year.
Yeah.
And for me, it's coaching. I know Riley Leonard, that last interception was tough, but when I look at that play, it was 2nd and 1, and you go for a deep shot with 6 minutes left. You were driving. Why not run the goddamn ball? Jeremiah Love was getting 7.5 yards per carry. Run the football.
Yep.
Riley Leonard's a strong runner. Run the football. So
run the option with him. He'll run it.
again, on that play, this is a crucial play. You look down on the right side, the bottom of the screen. He did have a guy on a curl that he probably could have hit, but there was still a guy in zone sitting there. He went deep and he severely underthrew it. So that is on him. He should have put that ball further. But again, I don't like the call on your 2nd and 1. Why aren't you milking that clock? And why aren't you running the ball? So that's more stuff of I don't know if Marcus Freeman has it in him. This is 3 games now where he's lost big time as big time favorites.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll pose the question to you guys. Do you think this is 100% a coaching problem, or do you think that everyone, including us, overvalued Riley Leonard?
Well, that brings up a point. I'll throw this up because Jacob just mentioned it. Blake, go ahead.
You mentioned it. That's why I was going to throw it out there to you guys.
Yeah, Blake, go ahead.
I think it's a coaching issue, and it stems back 3 seasons. I mean, they've lost to Marshall. They've had multiple opportunities to win big games, and they haven't been able to do it. They've struggled in small games multiple times. And I mean, it's kind of a development issue as well. They're not developing and putting star players out. I mean, they're just not. I felt like their running back, I feel like he has star power capability, but I mean, and he had a good game against A&M and a solid game against Illinois for a couple of plays, but the utilization of key players in pivotal moments are not happening. And not just in this game, but across college football. I mean, it's kind of the same storyline in several of these games. Play calling, horrible situational play calling. I mean, it is, I don't know. I think it's a coaching issue.
Yeah. And to Jacob's question, 3rd down's not good. He made a bad read on that play, especially that late pick. But I think he's a talented dude. I mean, at Duke, he had great moments. Here, I mean, he's got potential.
My thing with him at Duke, though, I feel like a lot of his stuff was all of his success came off of impromptu plays or broken plays.
That's fair.
Yeah, a lot of it did.
And we never. I mean, the Duke offense was okay. It was not great, but it was okay. But like a lot of the highlights, if you will, of Riley Leonard came off of him scrambling or rolling out one way or the other and not really sitting in the pocket. So it makes me wonder if all of the broken plays just kind of skewed everyone's view of him a little bit.
I mean, it's certainly possible. I guess, I mean, it remains to be seen how they turn around the rest of the season. Yeah. And, maybe they figure it out. But, Jake, I think about A&M's loss. I will say it is worse because if Weigman was playing what he had last year, that I don't see why they couldn't have won that game. And we all talked about it in the preseason and all this stuff. I was not impressed with what Notre Dame had coming back. They lost a lot of talent, wide receivers especially. But so Notre Dame, going in and beating Texas A&M like that, it's just a rough loss for Texas A&M and just a shitty situation from how Weigman played. But I don't think the world's over for Texas A&M. I still think they have a fine team. If Weigman can square it away, then things will be looking.
Yeah, with the Weigman thing, Jacob, I would say that it is. I would agree with that. It is worse overall, mainly because I thought he played phenomenally well, even though their record wasn't great last year. I thought Weigman was actually a very serviceable quarterback last year. But what I've seen this year, I feel like he's taken a step back for whatever reason. I would guess that's because it's the coaching staff and the way the offensive schemes. But that's just
new staff coming back from injury. Things change. So
everything changed. Honestly,
I don't know. The Northern Illinois, though, props off to you guys. That was an awesome win. Congratulations. Blake, anything else on this before we move on?
I'm good.
All right. Next one, big one, Texas and Michigan. Texas goes into the Big House, wins 31-12. Ewers he had a solid outing. He hit his targets. But somebody posed a question on Twitter. Is this more, Texas being elite or an indication on Michigan? I feel like it's more a Michigan problem. Texas is a good team. I'm not saying they're not. They went out and they handled business. They made Michigan look stupid. Defensively, though, when you look at it, there were so many blown assignments from the cornerbacks. The defensive scheme up front just did not feel like what it was before.
Absolutely hated the way that Wink Martindale called this game.
Yeah.
With the speed on the outside that Texas has at wide receiver, there is no reason to leave all of your corners on an island.
Mm-hmm.
There is absolutely no reason for it. It should be 2 high safeties all day long. So you you keep everything in front of you and just play that game. Because I guarantee you that you have a very, very talented linebacking core, but you keep the safeties away from the line of scrimmage as much as possible. Let the linebackers handle the second level and then, whatever. But the running backs I was not impressed with any of the running backs that Texas trotted out there. Personally, I thought it was the wide receivers, the offensive line, and Quinn Ewers that won that game. It had nothing to do with the run game.
Yeah, well, the run game came, really is just gaps. They just had
it was just filler. It was just filler plays until they got back to the passing game.
Yeah, I don't know. Blake, what did you see from this game from outside looking in?
I felt like Michigan's play calling was kind of predictable offensively.
I would agree with that.
I don't feel like they really mixed it up a whole lot. And which I know they're still trying. They're kind of soul searching still because you're coming off losing talent. I get that. I just felt like though for this big of a game, it was just very like vanilla offensively for Michigan. I was expecting something a little more, I guess. But I agree defensively with what Trevor said. Like they left a lot of the secondary one-on-one, and they were just getting burned. Which was really shocking to me. Like I thought
it was just a very, very bad defensive play calling game. It was just
I don't know if that was their game plan. Maybe was thinking there was going to be more pressure on Ewers. So I mean, you got to give because the defensive line of Michigan's is legit. I mean, or I thought they was before the season.
Yeah.
But,
well, that being said, it was like they talked about it before the game. Off that offensive line and that defensive line, the offensive line for Texas, which is probably one of the more experienced offensive line in all of college football, against probably the best tandem D tackles in the country as well. It was the battle that I was going to be paying most attention to be perfectly honest. And in this game specifically, Texas won at the line of scrimmage. 100%.
Yeah.
They also said between those two teams, they're expecting 21 players to be drafted this coming draft. So I mean, that's how much talent was in that game. I felt like Michigan was really flat on that game, and I think it was just they had a bad game plan going into it.
And I don't want to make excuses for Michigan, but they did happen to replace 10 starters on offense. So it's just you saw all of that. I think, one, maybe 2 starters from last year, technically. So it'd probably be 9 starters total because a whole new offensive line, whole new basically everything. And you saw how new that whole offensive scheme was.
Yeah, I think it's more indicative on coaching and on both sides of the ball. Talent-wise, I think there's still plenty. Davis Warren, he had a lot of misses. The first interception was high in a zone pocket. If that was JJ, that's low into the ground, and that's a catch and a first down. Davis puts it high and it tipped up, pick. And then again, you're looking at Donovan Edwards too. His vision was horrible. He had plenty of cutback lanes, and when you go back. Gentleman named Dew on Twitter. He used to play for Michigan. Every morning on Sunday, he goes through and he breaks down every part of the game. And there were so many gaps that Warren or Edwards missed early on. And you're talking gash plays. But it's just like he ran. I don't know if he's just in his head right now or what. Because last year he would have moments where he'd hit those. Penn State, Ohio State, it doesn't matter. Washington. So there's some changes I think needs to happen. Yeah, quarterback controversy in Michigan. I think there is.
I don't know if Orgy's any better.
I don't think Orgy can pass necessarily, but I feel like you give him a shot, and if at least make him throw. And that's another part of the coaching.
I know that
in the game, you're talking 3rd and 5, and you run a zone read, and everybody knows that he's keeping the football. That's part of the play calling that Blake was alluding to. It was
very
just
predictable.
And that's not what Sharon Moore did last season when he was coaching. He's not calling the plays this year.
Yeah, the one thing we don't really know is how hands-off he is. If he's allowing the new offensive coordinator to basically just do it, or is he the one calling it?
That's the word, is that he's like how Jim was doing at the end was he's letting Kurt Campbell run it and going from there. So if it keeps going, I'd say take the play calling back, Sharon, and do your thing. Because last year his game management was wonderful when he was in the game, and this year I'm not seeing it. The bad running, boring running plays. You're getting behind the sticks early. It just not good. So I'm not happy with that performance at all. I agree. I don't think Orgy's the guy. I don't think Warren's the guy. I think Warren is a little bit better passing, but Orgy again is that mobile guy that can escape.
So let me pose this question real quick to both of you. Let me just hypothetical. At what point do you see the freshman?
I don't know. I'd throw him in next week.
You see the freshman.
When I watched the spring game, his arm talent looked much better. Like the release point, the velocity. I'd want to see him get in, but I don't know
when they would put him in unless it's garbage time. But I don't even think that I haven't seen any reports if he is the actual third person on the roster, because they still have that 8th year whatever.
Tuttles. He's still dealing with injury though.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I'd like to actually see the freshman just go.
Me personally, I'm a fan of giving people opportunities in a big game. Because as a Bama fan, I've seen it over the years where, like, Jake Coker got pulled. We brought in Cooper Bateman. It didn't work out. Coker come back, won a national championship. Tua come in, had to win it for Jalen in 2018. 2018. So, and I feel the same way currently, which I'll talk about that later. But it's frustrating when you have talent on the bench. And it's easy for people to say, like armchair coaching, like we'll put him in, blah, blah. But when you watch the game like we do, and a lot of people do, you know how things work. And the coaches don't always make the right decisions.
Yeah.
Being human. Yep.
It felt like another one where I want to see them roll him out of the pocket more. Towards the end of the game, they were doing that. He threw a touchdown pass. Warren did. Show me a couple things like that, and we'll see. You got a game you can try and figure some stuff out. But my final thoughts on this is coaching was the biggest issue in this game for Michigan, the play calling. I want to see Donovan Edwards out of the backfield and put him out wide, put him in the slot, help out your wide receiving core. Use Mullings and Benjamin Hall. Those guys actually run the ball hard, and that's the shit you need. So that's like your Karan Higgins, that Michigan's had running back where they pound out the yards. That's what I want to see from Michigan, and spread it out with Donovan Edwards because he's a threat. But you gotta use him as a pass catcher, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But either way, Michigan ended up taking a loss. Texas, great win for them. Again, not taking anything out of them. They did everything they were supposed to. They used the flats well. They did everything that they needed offensively. Yep. And they got a big win. So they're now up to number 2 in the country. Gentlemen, let's move on. Tennessee, NC State, another big one this weekend. A lot of people, the spread wasn't horrible, but I don't think people were expecting this. Went out and they
sure as hell wasn't.
They burned it down. And
NC State's out. for me.
Tennessee is
they're dead to
legit.
me.
Yeah.
Tennessee's going to be a problem for the SEC.
Yeah. Look, Tennessee, and even Nico had 2 interceptions this game, but he still had a solid outing. But for me, it was the run game for Tennessee was fantastic. And again, NC State, I think it's also, again, a game that's more indicative on them than, I think Tennessee's legit. I'm not saying they're not, but NC State has totally come out and just blown it. They had a good portal class. They've got good, linemen and everything they're supposed to. And then you can only run for 39 rushing yards. I know Tennessee's got a very good defensive front, but still, you went out and got a really good running back in Waters, and you can't do anything. And then it goes all on Grayson McCall's shoulders, who's a really good quarterback, and you put him in horrible situations. So I don't know. Tennessee, they killed it. NC State, you got a lot to figure out, and I don't know if you're going to be able to do it. Maybe in the ACC because they look pretty wide open, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Anything else on this game?
Hang on.
I was impressed with Tennessee's offensive line. I felt like they controlled the line of scrimmage the entire game. And in the first quarter, I looked at Brandy and I'm like, this is going to get bad. And I feel like Tennessee is going to be a shocker in the SEC now. I really do.
Yeah. And Jake, we'll get to your comment, I think, more towards the end. Blake will have an Alabama segment. We'll talk more about them towards the end of the show. But yeah, I agree. I think Tennessee is going to be a problem. They've got a lot of talent. Wide receiver, the quarterback play is only going to get, I feel like, better as the season goes. So I think they're a dangerous one to watch in the SEC. But huge win for them, and they're moving up the rankings.
Yeah, they're going to be a tough one. You might see Nico pop into the Heisman talk here soon.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible, especially you get mid-season, and a lot of these teams aren't looking as good as they were. And that kind of leads us in, if you guys got nothing else on that one, the Boise State-Oregon game.
Go for it.
Oregon's kind of shocked me this year, and it's really an offensive thing. Dylan Gabriel's not playing bad. I mean, he's 18-21, 243 yards, but it's just slow. It's just not working. It's like 7 points in the first quarter, 7 in the second, and Boise started fast. And when you're Oregon, you've had 2 close games now. You've got to start pulling away. You're supposed to be a national title contender.
Right.
I want to see more explosiveness. And really, without their special teams this week, they'd have lost that game.
So the only thing I'm going to say about this, and it's I'll say this, I'm probably going to say this at least once every episode when we do these live shows, is that the teams that were heavy in the transfer portal are doing poorly as far as playing at a consistent level. Oregon, heavy in the transfer portal, is not playing well. They're not shutting down teams they should be shutting down. They're not blowing teams out that they should be. Good Lord. Oh my Lord. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. Other than that, I think Oregon, I mean, they are in a survive and advance mode right now. I feel like but I think the more concerning thing is that they gave up 34 points they allowed 34 points. The defense should not. There's no way. Boise State, I get it, is pretty darn good. Yeah. But there's no way. There's no way on God's green earth that an Oregon team that is one of the favorites to go to the Natty is allowing that many points from a Boise State team, where I could probably rattle off 4 or 5 offenses that would just obliterate them if they allowed that same number to happen, or that same kind of defensive play to happen. I feel like it would go badly for them if they played a top tier defense or offense.
Yeah, and just the running ability too. You add in a better quarterback than the Madsen. Jonty's the guy for Boise State, and that dude should be in your Heisman conversations as well. He's a beast. I know they're not, they're 1-1, whatever, but this dude is a monster. You
might be right. They might lose 3 games this year. You never know.
Hey, it's very possible.
It's very, very possible.
I I don't know. Boise State, they had every chance, and then, like you said, special teams wins it in the end for Oregon. They're lucky that the last play, I don't know if you saw it, he dropped the ball before the end zone. Again, people keep doing that. But Oregon's player picked it up in the end zone for a touchdown. Very, very easily could have turned into a touchback. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this Oregon team, gets it going, because they need to start much faster, and Dan Lanning needs to get this thing on the road. Anything else on this game? Jake,
No.
post Ole Miss. We got Ole Miss 1, Oregon 2, Bama 3, A&M 4. Oh, for the portal, yeah.
Yeah, he's just he's just putting that out there because I said that.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Ole Miss has, had a solid, start so far, but they haven't
played anybody. Is also what I'm going to say to that.
Bama,
Texas is the only legitimate argument against what I'm saying. Bama hasn't played anybody.
Also, just because you're ranked high in the portal class, I think you're referring more to the teams that are starting
they're
a lot
trying
of
to
these
flip
players.
the script. Yeah, they're like we're talking like Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, even the big teams, it's maybe a little slow starting, and they'll just take a little time to mesh, and then Florida State. Bama had a rough outing last night. Michigan brought some guys in because they're trying to replenish, and you saw how that played out at safety, at cornerback and safety.
Yep.
So those are things that if you're going to jump in the portal, you got to do it early, and you got to find guys that fit your culture too. Texas seems to be the one that's actually hitting that right now. Let's move on to Kansas State, Tulane. Another big game this weekend for the Group of 5. Every opportunity to try to push into that playoff spot. And, man, this one was close. Kansas State, again, to me, is the third down efficiency was horrible. Really, really not good. But they found a way to win. Nice interception at the end of the game. Avery Johnson, not a bad game. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Giddens, Dylan Edwards, solid outings on the ground. I want to see more of that. Get those guys are your playmakers. I want to see more from them. And you see it in the receiving game too. DJ Giddens, 63 yards passing or receiving. So that's the stuff. Keep using that. Spread them out. But props to Tulane for keeping it close. They do this every year. They're a tough team to play. Do not sleep on these teams, man. Oh, Jared. Texas hasn't played anybody. Get out of here. Get them out of here. Yeah. Oh, my God. But, yeah, what did he say? Yeah. K-State on third down was equally as bad as Michigan's conversion. Yeah, Michigan couldn't do it on third down either. K-State, they at least got the win, but different beast, I'd say. But I don't know. Kansas State, I think they have a good chance to go into this Big 12 that feels, again, really wide open. And you got past a team that's a dangerous one to play. Guys, any thoughts on this one?
No, not really. Tulane should have won this game. They dropped the ball on
it. Hey, I'll say we got one of our buddies very happy that they made it out, and Kansas went down this week as well. And hey, that just happens to be the next team we talk about, Kansas into Illinois. And look, Kansas. I think we talked about you a little bit before at the start of the show. Kansas, you suck. I can't believe you did this. Look. You had every opportunity this season to make it to the playoffs with an easy schedule, returning starters, all this stuff. But again, you go down and you lose in Champaign. 3 interceptions from Jalen Daniels, a seasoned veteran, and this is the performance you have. It's unacceptable, and I don't know how their season is going to go from here.
Struggle bus. That's what that season's going to look like. And my picks are starting to look worse and worse. So yeah, there we go with that.
Jalen Daniels didn't look good. He was decent last year, but I've never been like overwhelmingly pleased with him. And I mean, he's okay at best, but in the state of Kansas, I think Kansas State has the better of the two quarterbacks.
Yeah, as of right now, I would agree with that statement.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Altmaier came out. He had a solid game. He came on kind of at the end of last year, had good moments for Illinois. but really they couldn't run. I'll say that. Illinois, it's 2.3 yards per carry, 79 yards total. That's not going to do it in the Big Ten. You can't do that. Both were about equal in the third down conversions. Kansas outgained them. So, if you get rid of, again, the turnovers, Illinois probably loses this game. But you can't go out there and have a veteran quarterback making those mistakes.
Nope.
And granted, Illinois made good plays. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but it's just facts. Stats are stats, man. You can't.
I was gonna say, could it not just be that the other team's defense was really good?
Yeah, and it could be just as simple as that.
No, Jalen Daniels was trash, and he needs to be called out for it.
Yeah.
Yep. Kick him out. Sorry, my internet was a little janky right there. Everything was spinning, so sorry if I missed.
No, you're okay. You're good.
That's the Park of the Live show, boys. All right. Anything else on this one? Good win for Illinois. Bad loss for Kansas. Illinois, second best team in the Big Ten. People are talking. We'll see. We'll see how they do moving forward. Let's jump into the next game. Penn State, another embarrassment. Bowling Green, you should have had it. Could have had it. Bay's like 254 on him, 2 picks though. It's just one that.
Speaking of teams that are having problems with teams they should not be having problems with.
Yeah,
Penn State, man, you living on the edge every week right now.
That's where they live, though.
That's true.
That's true. James Franklin fashion.
That is very, very true.
They love the edge. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. Drew Allar, 13 of 20 for 204, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Really, if it wasn't for Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, they would have been toast. Those guys were getting 9.2, 7.2 yards per carry. But it just, again, your defense allowing 27 to Bowling Green, keeping them in it. They were getting sacks on you. Penn State, no sacks. You're supposed to be a top defense, again this year, and you can't get any sacks on this Bowling Green team. So good on Bowling Green for keeping it close. They honestly should have won the game, but Penn State pulled away, and that was another one. It's like, all right, the season's funky, boys. The season is strange. A lot of close games that you should not be close against, and I wonder if that's going to continue as a trend this season. Anything else on this one before we move on?
Nope.
All right, next. Another game, we haven't talked about it yet, but it was a good one. Oklahoma State versus Arkansas. And I know this is one that
brutal
put a dagger in Trevor's heart, but
as Jacob says, ripped my soul out.
It was a fun game. It
was a fun game to watch, but it was very, very frustrating because right when I think Arkansas is going to seal the deal, they go and do some boneheaded stuff. Like the Arkansas player, I don't remember what quarter
the penalty.
It was, that did a body slam on some kid on the running back when there was no reason to whatsoever.
On third down. Him.
Yeah.
Awful.
I was screaming at the TV like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. The whole thing is just like, especially that back end, it just like you just gave it away. And really they shut down the running game of Oklahoma State, which was one of the keys to victory when we talked about our coverage on it. You have to shut down Ollie, put the ball into Alan Bowman's hands. And look, he went 27 of 48 and threw a pick.
Mm-hmm.
He threw 326. That's wonderful. That's better than what Michigan's, I guess, throwing out. But, he did come from Michigan. That's the only reason I brought it up. But it's like, come on. Arkansas, you shut it down, but you still let they call him the doctor. They let him finish you. Bowling Green, I like what he brings to the table. He's athletic. He's multiple. He did make some bad decisions, but he had some really nice passes as well. So Jaquindon Jackson, though, 24 carries, 149 yards. That's a nice outing for running back. And then again, defensively shutting down that run, huge for them. Now I will say positive for Oklahoma State. 3 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. That's really nice. What Jared said, they're doing better than my team. Hey, I hear you there. So I don't know, man. Oklahoma State, again, Big 12's wide open. I don't know who the hell is going to come out of that conference. It's seen a lot of slop early. Utah, if Cam Rising, I think he should be fine. I think it was just a broken finger.
That was kind of a dirty play, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it rode
That
him
was
into
really like you guys were like 5 feet out of bounds and they get shoved into the freaking cooler.
Rode him into the cooler. Is it like
God,
oh my God, what's his name from the Water Boy?
Yeah,
Bobby Boucher.
Boucher.
That's a high quality H2O. All right. Either way, Arkansas, you should have done better. Oklahoma State, good win, I guess. All right, let's move on to another team that just left the Big 12 for the SEC. And they struggled with a Big 12 team, and that was Houston and Oklahoma. Oklahoma, again, I'm not too impressed. I know we caught a lot of flack in our comments section on YouTube when we did our season previews, and you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. Look, nobody's saying that they can't go out and have a good season, but they have a tough schedule. You just struggle against Houston. Jackson Arnold had an interception. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. 78 yards rushing against Houston. That shouldn't happen. I need to see more from this team moving forward. And honestly, Houston had a chance late, but they got a safety, which I didn't really think it was. But, I mean, what the hell do I know? Guys, what do you think?
Honestly, I haven't given this game much thought because the Sooners just aren't on my brain right now at all. Like they, in my opinion, they shouldn't be a top 15 team, but they are. So it is.
Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah, we'll see what changes with them, but yeah, tough game there. And Houston had a chance late, but Oklahoma did have a really nice play on a tight end release, delayed release, to end the game. So I'll give them props for that too.
I would have liked to see Houston pull that one out, but unfortunately, they aren't quite there yet to finish.
Hey, a couple more games we'll roll through, boys, and we got a couple good ones again in the group of 5. Texas State, UTSA, huge game from Texas State. They blew them out. It really wasn't even a game early, so just props to them. And McLeod's solid outing, and Pear from the running back, 109 yards rushing. Big one next week against Arizona State. Anything on this one, boys? I thought it was just a nice performance.
I'm just disappointed. Just disappointment all around. Whatever.
Hey, look, I'm a meeper, man. I like those guys. I've liked them for a long time. But it's the tides are turning. Texas State is on the rise, and the Bobcats got it rolling. On to the next one. Iowa State and Iowa. That was a really cool game down to the wire there, and Iowa had every chance early to win this game. But they just can't pass the football. 99 passing yards. Caden McNamara, again, nothing great there. He hasn't been the same since his injury. 2 picks. Running game was fine, though. They had 204 yards rushing. But, hey, Rocco Becht and the boys came back, and they ended up kicking that game-winning field goal at the end. Clutch moment there, and Iowa State takes the win. And my playoff hopes are alive for Iowa State. So
for now,
they can still win the Big 12. I'm telling you,
they could.
Anything's possible. But yeah, I don't know. Just I thought it was a good game from them. Started off really slow, and they were able to figure it out against a solid defense and turn it around. Anything on this game, gents, before we jump on to the next one?
No.
Yeah, Syracuse and Georgia Tech. You guys picked this one really well.
About the only one I did. About the only one I did.
Yeah. Hey, look, you went 5-5. Give yourself some props, all right? But really, I was impressed with Kyle McCord. Really strong game out of him, and he delivered the win for him. Rushing game wasn't bad. Passing game, they were on point. 4 touchdowns, 381 passing. What do you think on this one, guys?
I think Syracuse might actually be the sleeper in the ACC this year.
Ooh. Hey, I mean, they built
threw them out there.
Yeah,
they might be the sleeper. They might be the sleeper because honestly, the ACC is struggling this year.
Yeah,
teams that I thought would be strong aren't strong. At all.
When I seen Georgia Tech struggle last week with Georgia State or Georgia, whoever it was, I was like, yeah. So you already know how I feel about Florida State. They're not good. So a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon of Georgia Tech because of that.
Yeah.
But now that we're kind of seeing how some of these teams are starting to play out, and then they struggle with Georgia State, it's like, well, are they as good as advertised? Syracuse, I think having Kyle McCord I knew their offense was going to be decent.
Yeah.
And I just had that hunch, when you have a team that's got a good quarterback that can move the football, and then you have a team that you're kind of like, I mean, are they good? Are they not good?
Yeah.
That's why I picked that upset. And so,
no, I think it's a good pick, and I thought it was going to be close, and either team could really win it. The spread, suggested as well. But again, it came down, and we kind of mentioned it last year too with this team. Is Haynes King needs some help, and in the running game, he didn't get any. He was the main guy. So I mean, you're leaving him to pass, to run, to do everything.
Yeah.
Got to find this man some assistance if you want to have a good rest of your season, because it just gets tougher from here. So I like both teams. Syracuse, good on you for getting that win. I like what they're building up there. And Kyle McCord, we might talk about him here in a little bit too. Let's move on. Last couple games, South Carolina beat the hell out of Kentucky. Kentucky can't pass football. They went out and got a horrible quarterback from from Rutgers. Gavin Wimsatt
went out and got a horrible quarterback.
Well, I'm not even talking Vandegrift or whatever the hell. But I was just saying, you go in, you get Wimsatt from coming in from Rutgers, like he's going to be a backup. He was never it. And then Vandegrift, it's clear why he left Georgia. 3 of 10 passing in a whole game is remarkable.
Yes.
So, like, God dang. But I just had to point that one out. Yeah, nothing else to say about it. Just ugly.
Yep.
They got some talent on the South Carolina defense, so I'll say that.
Yeah.
Last one that I got, boys, before we talk your Bama game, Blake, Michigan State, Maryland. Maryland had a solid spread there. Michigan State came out and really in the second half, and they put it on them, man. They had a nice game. Aiden Childs came out, showed out 363. He did have 3 picks, but he had 3 touchdowns too. So not bad performance from Old Sparty. Good for them. What do you guys think on that one? Did you get to watch it?
I watched the highlights a little bit. I still don't think Sparty's showing me much.
Yeah,
honestly,
I don't know.
They got the win, which is good, but I think once they get into Big Ten play, like real Big Ten play, I don't think the game that they played. I don't know. I watched that game a little bit, and then I watched the highlights. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out right now, and I don't know if Sparty's in the top half or the bottom half right now of the conference, and I'd want to say that they're still in the bottom half.
Yeah, for me, Maryland, you got to get better in the rushing game.
Yeah,
you should be able to run on this Michigan State defense, and they couldn't. So that's a glaring issue. But now let's talk a little bit of Alabama USF before we start wrapping this one up. Blake, if you want to talk about the Bama game, because very, very tight game until the last 3 minutes. And then
we scored 21 points in the last 6 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
The defensively, there was 3 or 4 plays where we were one-on-one, and we're just lucky that their quarterback wasn't a good passer, because they had 3 or 4 touchdowns where we just missed the receiver, just ran right by us. We got faked out, and that was it. But aside from those few plays, defensively, I know they got a lot of yards, but when it came down to it, we kept them out of the end zone, especially when they got in the red zone. We really shut it down.
Yeah.
I felt like we did a pretty good job of doing that defensively, but offensively, my God, that was the worst I've ever seen our offensive line play. It was, I'm still mad about it, but when we had 14 points taken off the board from holding calls, and majority of them were coming from our right tackle Formby, and then we have some young guys up front, but it's no excuse. I mean, that the amount of holding calls we were getting, and when you see the replay, it's just stupid. Like, why are you even doing this? And then Milroe at quarterback. I know it may make people mad, but I can't help how you get mad. The dude is not He's not going to win a national championship at Alabama. He is not a national championship caliber quarterback. And you can score 80 points, you can score 100 points, but you have to look at more than just the number on the scoreboard and stats. When, like his first game, I said it on the show last week, I know he had a good completion ratio. I know he hit some deep balls, but when you watch the film, it's behind the receivers. Our receivers are having to stop constantly, slow down for the ball, and they're just not well-placed passes. And God forbid you ask the man to throw a ball less than 20 yards. It's going to be 8 to 10 yards high. It's going to be out of bounds. I mean, he's done it for 2 years, and he's a senior quarterback and supposed to be a veteran Heisman front runner, and we can't complete basic passes. And I understand the offensive line, and I'm not talking about when he's under pressure, which that's, you have to be able to handle pressure as a quarterback. That's part of having the job, which he does not do well. But even when he has time to stand in the pocket, his passes are still not accurate. They're behind the receivers, overthrown. There was multiple touchdowns he left on the field because he cannot pass. He does not read the field well. He does not get rid of the ball quickly. And I know he's dangerous as a runner and making plays. I get that. I'm not denying that. And I'm not denying that he's a good quarterback. But good is not going to win a national championship with what we have. And that's my whole point about him. People may not like it. I don't care. It is what it is. I was right about him last year, and I'm right about him this year. When it comes down to it, and a team stops Alabama's run game, and he's forced to stand in the pocket and make a throw, he's incapable of doing that. And it's what it is. He's proven that.
Yeah, I just look again. I see what you're saying, especially with the deep shots. There's a lot left to be desired.
1 of 9 passing over 20 yards.
Yeah, and Bama's got enough talent to carry, but you saw it in this game. It was so close to going the other way. And again, if USF's quarterback could actually pass the football, Bama loses this game.
Yep.
And honestly, right at the very end, it just like on college football 25, you get little momentum shifts and little decision points.
What happened
if they
there?
Didn't go for it at the end, they kicked a field goal. If they went for it, what happens if they got that?
What made the difference, literally, we brought Elijah Pritchett in, who was our starting. He was the starter. He's been banged up, and he's had some attitude issues. And they brought him in, and immediately, the first play he played, we was able to run the football. It made a huge difference in running the ball, and that was a lot of our issue. We could not get a run game going. There was no gaps. We could not get to the outside, and when we did, they got called back for holding. We had 130 yards of penalties that game. That alone puts you you're not going to win because of that.
Yeah,
and then Milroe running 25 yards backwards, holding the ball for 35 seconds. You cannot do that. You're supposed to be a veteran quarterback, and that puts your team in bad situations.
Yeah, and that's one of those you saw it last year too. And like I mentioned, the advanced stats, they show that he does bring pressure on himself at a pretty high rate.
Don't say it though. You can't say it.
Hey, stats don't lie. Stats don't lie. Either way, I don't know. I think Bama has every opportunity again to turn around. They won the game. There's plenty of opportunity there. Go back real quick to Jacob's comment. Is Alabama 5th best team in the SEC right now? Would you say they are? You got Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Ole Miss.
No,
all ahead of them.
No,
based on how we played Saturday, if we do not correct the penalties and do something with our quarterback, I would say Ole Miss is ahead of us, Tennessee's ahead of us, Georgia's ahead of us. I'd put LSU over us, Texas.
No way.
If we play how we played
LSU,
Saturday,
really?
If we play,
they looked like
trash
how we play compared to you guys. I'm sorry.
Well, look, mark my words. If we do not fix the penalties, and Milroe does not make the changes he needs to make, we will lose every big game this season. We will lose 6 or 7 games. It will happen if we do not fix these mistakes.
Yeah, I think it's fixable, and especially like you said at the very end of the game, shit started clicking.
Well,
You're like, okay,
I thought that too, but we're doing the same stuff last year. I mean,
That's fair.
I thought it was going to get better, and in the Western Kentucky game, we still got a lot of penalties. We're still missing easy blocks, and then Milrose just still not accurate. Talent can only carry you so far. It carried us to the Michigan game, and then you play teams where it catches up with you, and that's just what happens.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll see. We'll see what happens with them, and but they got time to turn it around. So, Jacob Rose says LSU's a 4-8 team. Hey, it's very possible. Look, defensively, you don't really know. Yes, they played USC, but they were like the same team. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see USC and LSU as they move forward. Last three things I'll mention: Nebraska blew out Colorado. That was fun to watch. Arizona State held on, beat Mississippi State. I thought that was a nice little game for them going into this battle with Texas State next week. And then California goes in and upsets Auburn in Jordan Hare for those of you that speak English. So that's sorry if I offend you. No, not sorry. But either way, that's it for the big games. If you guys got anything else, feel free to throw it out. We'll go ahead and if not, we'll talk about our kicking it up a notch player and team of the week. And that one, once Trevor brings it on up, there it is, baby. We're going with Kyle McCord as our player of the week. There's plenty of others that could do it, but I was impressed with his performance. I think the guys were too. Again, you lead your team to 2-0 and had a really nice outing, almost 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Team of the week, though. You got to give it to Northern Illinois. There's no other option. Massive win for their program. And now they're in the top 25. Could they make the playoffs if they continue this trend? I mean, hell yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible with the MAC. So I'm curious to see how the rest of their season plays out. But props to them. Great win. Jacob Rowe at the very bottom there. South Carolina beats LSU by 14 points. I mean, who the hell knows?
Maybe.
Defense, I want to see it change, but yeah, we'll see.
Maybe.
Gentlemen, anything else before we close out for week 2 previews?
I'm good.
Or review, excuse me. We've already done the previews. Recap. But yeah, that crazy week. I'm excited to see what moves on with the rest of this schedule, the season. So we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We had a decent amount of listeners.
We did. We had looked like according to Facebook, on Facebook, like about 35 plays.
Oh yeah. So we appreciate you guys listening, and look, we know ball. Okay, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. We might joke around, but
I don't know anything. I just say things.
Oh, you're just a damn what are they called? Not a
gump.
A gump. You're just a damn gump. Oh shit. All right, boys. Well, again, we'll see you on the next episode when we preview week 3. Again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Have a good night.
Take it easy, everybody.
Adios.